people with RSI turn to Dragon because they can use their voice instead of their hands, and it hurts to type. It can be a frustrating experience when you're first starting, and I can personally attest to this. So here we have, to make it easier for us, is Alexandria Carstens. She's a speech recognition consultant and trainer with Speakeasy Solutions, Inc. in Vancouver, British Columbia. So let's begin with your first suggestion, Alexandria. You say we need to use Windows PC only. Why is that? And is it possible to use Dragon with a Mac?
Right. Well, once upon a time, Dragon was available for Mac, and that technology was abandoned a few years ago. So right now it is solely PC. And so you can use a Mac if you have Parallels or Boot Camp the Mac. In other words, you have a PC operating system, Windows operating system on your Mac.
So you have to install different software in order to get it to work? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. So there is additional software on the Mac necessary. And so essentially you're running an operating system on an operating system. So to use Dragon effectively on a PC, we recommend at least 8, preferably 16 gigabytes of RAM or more. And with a Mac, you will need to make sure you allocate at least 8 gigabytes of RAM from the Mac onto the PC partition or the Windows operating system.
And other programs interfere with Dragon's performance?
They can, particularly antiviruses. So we don't recommend freeware antivirus. I hesitate to mention the corporate names, but
oh, go ahead. People want to know.
I can. Okay. All right. McAfee, Norton, those big boys, they really dig their hooks in to the whole computer and can slow it down. So for instance, if you've ever had to wait a long time for Microsoft Word to actually be usable after it's loaded, chances are you're running McAfee or Norton. The best antivirus, and this is just coming from experience, is ESET Nod 32 with Smart Security, more or less the corporate name, ESET, and Nod 32, so NOD 32 with Smart Security.
This is a paid program that you would purchase?
It is, but it's not that expensive. It has a very low impact on a computer, so it should be working just the same as without an antivirus. And it's completely configurable. So there are what are called antivirus excludes that need to happen. So in other words, when you're using Dragon, you want to exclude specific directories on your computer from being actively scanned, which can slow it down. And this is very configurable in Nod 32, as well as other antivirus programs. But like I said, the aforementioned ones, it doesn't seem to matter. They're just so virulent.
So we shouldn't really be using free antivirals, is what I'm hearing from you.
No, and also only have one. Some people think the more antivirus programs they have, the better they are. And the reality is they can conflict, they can slow everything down. And a slow Dragon is an unhappy user.
Yes, yeah. And then, so this is really good information. So what kind of microphone do you recommend?
It does need to be a quality microphone. Again, I don't like to disparage other companies. So Logitech, I find, is a little tinny, but it does work for some people's voices. And here is the thing, is a microphone that doesn't work well for one person may work very well for another. So I have found the best clarity comes from Sennheiser. So this one right here, it's a wireless, which is really nice. And I can use it for the phone. I can use it for the PC. Obviously, PC means Dragon, my talking with you as well. And it gives a very high quality signal out. And so you want a USB not plugged directly into the sound card. So even with a wireless, you still need to have that plugged into the USB port. So
you need a USB.
you do need a free USB port. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even wireless. And people sometimes want to connect the wireless microphone directly to the computer through Bluetooth, but that doesn't always work. And also, this microphone, for instance, is based on DECT wireless technology, DECT, which means that you get a better signal and also there's more security than Bluetooth. So Bluetooth can sometimes not be as effective.
Good. And then you say you need to restart your computer every day.
Yes, yes. And this has been a long-standing issue for decades. Windows doesn't necessarily manage its memory very well. So every time you open a program, it takes a certain amount of resources. When you close the program, you don't get all those resources back. So if you've ever had a computer crash, it's likely you've had the computer on for days or even weeks at a time without restarting or shutting it down. So when the resources are low, no matter how fast a computer you have, if you just leave it on indefinitely, it will crash. So by restarting the computer every day or shutting it down and starting it up, whatever the preference is, you free up the resources. Everything should be running tickety-boo.
Yeah. And then you say to close Dragon and all applications before restarting or shutting it down, which I do. But why is that an important thing for you?
Okay, well, for Dragon in particular, so in also applications where you have something open. So with Dragon, it would be your Dragon user profile, which are a little finicky as it is. They can be susceptible to corruption. But when you shut down Dragon, it shuts down your user profile and then it shuts itself down. If you shut the computer down or restart it while your Dragon profile is loaded, you run the risk of corrupting your profile, which means you may have to start all over again. And that's always a sad day.
It is a sad day. I can personally attest.
Oh
Many of
no.
these things that you're saying I am guilty. I've had these problems. So I'm happy that we're sparing our viewers all of the agonies that they will be missing because they've listened to this episode. Um, so why is it important to maintain your computer? And what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, for maintaining your computer, the operating system should be kept up to date. And Windows essentially lies. People say to me, oh, I have it set to auto update, but it doesn't. So you need to actually go into the check for updates. So that's what I always go to, check for updates. And even though it says, oh, I checked earlier today, guess what? It did, but it doesn't report necessarily, right? So sometimes that feature works with Windows, sometimes it doesn't. So I always tell my clients, make sure you click the check for updates button and then let it do its thing with the updates. Let it apply the updates, download them, restart the computer, check again. Keep checking for updates until there are no more updates. One other quick add, that does not include new features. So underneath the updates, there's usually a segment about some new features coming up, and it's an optional update. Don't apply that until you're absolutely forced to.
So when you're doing this, do you do it weekly, monthly, bi-weekly? How do you?
Updates usually come out every week. So, I mean, if you can do it weekly, that'd be great. But some people will just wait until something goes sideways on their computer and they phone us and say, Dragon's not behaving. And the first thing I do is log onto their computer and check for updates. And sure enough, there's updates available even from a week ago. That can cause an issue. Dragon doesn't like it when updates have been downloaded but not necessarily applied. So it just let the updates happen until there are no more, right? And that requires manual interaction.
So you actually do tech support with people where you can share screens and
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we provide service coast to coast, Canada and even the United States. I've done some work with people. So that's easy enough to accomplish. I mean, it's just like us now, except you'd be able to see my screen or me be able to see your screen. So, and like,
How do you avoid feeling overwhelmed when you're first starting to use Dragon?
there are lots of commands when you're learning to use Dragon, and literally there's hundreds. I try to focus on fewer, but in the beginning, it's a really good idea to pick a couple favorites, one or two, put them on a sticky note, and attach that sticky note to your monitor or nearby. Focus just on those two commands and master them. And then once those are mastered, could be a couple days or a week, then choose another couple commands. Trying to memorize even 20 commands at the get-go can be very overwhelming. So be gentle on yourself. It's completely normal to want to have that reference.
Yes. What should you do if Dragon slows down?
So if Dragon is slowing down or generally misbehaving, one of the most important things to do is make sure you've chosen the right input device. And so this has happened with users. Suddenly their web camera is picking up the audio instead of their microphone headset. So in Dragon, you need to select the right dictation source. And once you've done that, we also recommend you run a microphone check. And the microphone check measures the pitch and volume of your voice with the background noise level. And that usually is sufficient to alleviate most of Dragon not listening to you very well. Microphone. I mean, it only takes a few seconds.
Yes, a lot of these things only take a few seconds, and it's amazing how lazy we can get about those few seconds.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's human nature, right? We want it now.
Yeah, we want to just get going with this.
Yeah.
Just start already. So do you have any tips on dictating?
Oh, yes. So dictating with Dragon, I have what a client of mine years ago coined as QC cubed. So you want to speak quickly, clearly, completely, and continuously. So what that means is with Dragon, you want to speak more quickly rather than slowly. Don't treat Dragon like someone who's hard of hearing because it can hear you. So it's better to speak quickly. You do want to pronounce your words clearly, move your mouth, right? You don't want to sit here and mumble like this. And also pronouncing words completely. Sometimes we get a little slangy, for lack of a better term, with the way we pronounce words. So pronouncing them completely is important. Continuously is speaking as much as you can in one breath. This is interesting because Dragon actually has a contextual aspect so that it can understand the correct homonyms like to, there, and there. So if you speak in complete phrases, then Dragon has a better idea of what you're saying and is therefore more accurate.
That's really amazing. I mean, the technology is sort of astonishing when you think about it.
It is. I mean, I've been using it for over 20 years now, and it just, no other software I've ever worked with has advanced as quickly as Dragon has. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah. What about commands?
So with commands, it's different from when you're speaking dictation. With dictation, you can just rattle that off. With commands, you want to know what you wish to say before you speak. It seems logical, but again, in our current society, we want everything now and immediately. We start speaking before we really know what we completely want to do. So because commands have to be spoken in one breath, pausing around the command, we start speaking the command, but then we forget what we're trying to do. And then suddenly the computer does totally the opposite thing or something completely different. So make sure you know what you want to say, be very clear and concise, and pause around the command, but not in the middle of the command.
Well, I think it's really a good idea to think before you speak, just on general principle. I mean,
Is
there
it
are
more
many
so?
times when we've all said something and wished we had thought a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
I really want to thank you, Alexandria,
Oh,
for
you're
coming
welcome.
and sharing this wonderful. We hope to have you back and give us more advanced tips. So stay tuned, everybody. I think Alexandria is going to come back very soon and tell us more about this very useful and necessary software for people with RSI. Thank you again for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.